going to start the stream here. Getting ready to go live, or I'm kind of live already. Hopefully it connects today. It did yesterday. Yes, yay! All right. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome back to Who Am I? Who Am I? That little show on the edge of the internet where one of the cells of the body is just broadcasting a riff on the subject. Who are we? Who the heck are we, by the way? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What's the object of the exercise? What's the nature of our configuration? What is the nature of our biotechnology? How does it work? What is the nature of the field that we are all embedded in, the matrix that we are all interacting with? What is its nature and its properties? And how do I interface my equipment with the grid around me? How does it work? Who am I? So, if you're a fan of the show, you know that I speak of, it's my favorite topic. My favorite topic of all time is the inner being, the topic of the inner being. And it's my favorite because it brushes on so many things. It explains such a vast arena of understanding. When you understand that you actually are two selves. And everything is, truly, I mean, the table has an inner being in a way. It's sort of a vibrational aspect of it, a vibrational echo of it, holographically feeding my table all of the information of the universe. The only reason why I am more special than the table is because I possess an apparatus that can understand the universe. You really do have a physical mind that is capable of understanding the cosmos. It just can't lead the way. It can't lead the way. It's the faithful servant. It's not the sacred gift, as Einstein would have put it. He believed that we were two selves, but he didn't really explore. He's the mind, the physical mind is a faithful servant, and the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift, or something like that. That's rather the Einsteinian quote. And so the faithful servant can understand the physical world, but what it really needs to understand is itself, who it is. Who am I is what the faithful servant needs to understand. And then from that position, you put everything else in perspective, in order, in coherence. You put it in perspective and order, probably good enough. It lines up correctly when you line it up right. So who am I? Who am I? Well, you are the universe. You are the universe. But so, okay, you are your conventional physical self, just like you think you are. You are that. But you also are a vibrational aspect of you that holographically includes the information of the whole universe. That is also who you are. And in the template of your physical mind is, well, Within the chambers of your physical mind is the template of the whole grid. It's all there. You just got to line it up correctly. Understand that there is a greater thing that you are a part of, that you are dancing and playing with. A thing that is actually who you are. This universe that you are dancing with and playing with, it is actually who you are. It's all a question of identity. How you finish the when you go, I am, fill in the blank, how do you fill in that blank? That's a really good question. And the closer that you line up how you fill in that blank with how you really are and how the universe really works, the more powerful is the strength and length and depth and breadth of your imagination, for instance. When you've lined up your template of your consciousness, your physical mind, with the way it actually works out there, the actual laws of the universe, the actual shape of the universe, the reflective nature, the holographic nature, the fractal nature, as well as the vibrational nature, the quantum nature, the Planck nature, all of that. You add it all up, you put it all together, and then you play it like a win-win. The secret sauce is the win-win position. The win-win-win-win. It's the secret sauce. Because what everybody's knee-jerk, and it's the knee-jerk to the threatening world, is imagining that what you're playing is a win-lose. But it isn't a win-lose. It's a win-win. Only everybody is playing. So the way the game works is everybody from their position plays themselves like a win and the field like a neutral. Human beings have a bit of a problem playing it just unconsciously. Excuse me, I've got a cough again. And I did not get to the pause button in time, so we all had to experience that little cough with me. So everybody plays it. Well, let's forget about coming at it from that position. Let's do what I was doing just a second ago. So you are your conventional self, and you are a vibrational self that connects to the whole of the universe. What is this vibrational self? Abraham calls it your inner being. A lot of religions call it different things. They sense this vibrational thing going on inside of you, and they recognize that it has something to do with, I don't know, some call it God itself. And they imagine it as an other thing that is sort of tickling them from outside, sort of nudging and poking and, giving them signals from outside of you, which that's not entirely not true, but that's not really a very good way to look at it. It's not actually true either. Some people imagine it as the Holy Spirit being the messenger, the interface between you and the divine. That might be a little closer. What it actually is, in a way, is it is you. It is you. And if you would think of it as you, if you would think of that vibrational inner aspect as being you, that this is me. It's not God. It's not the Holy Spirit, although it is, and have respect for that. Thank you very much. Because while you are God, understand that from this perspective, everyone else is too. And so, you're special, but everybody else is special too. It sort of relates to the, in the East, there's a lot of cultures that they put their hands together in the prayer position when you're meeting someone, and with this, you bow with this. And what that is that's the deity in me is honoring the deity in you. And that's actually a pretty healthy perspective, and it's actually quite true. But we've got to put this whole picture together, this whole thing together. Where we think about who we are, we think about the nature of the field that we are also engaged in. We talk about and think about what the inner being is, the vibrational self. We think about what our positive and negative emotions are. And now we can start injecting, thoughts about what is our desire? What is your desire? Now, everyone has specific ones, but what is the desire itself? What is that fire? What is that impetus? What is that sacred impulse forward? What is that? I believe that is actually the language of the inner being, is the impulse, that feeling, that impulse to do something is your inner being guiding you, telling you. You are two selves, and how is the one informing the other, and how does all this relate to source energy, to the Planck field, to the divine matrix that we all share? This is where it interfaces. So we're going to talk about the inner being and how she's guiding you, how her reaction to your thoughts translates into your feelings. Whether she is paying attention to what you're thinking about or whether she's thinking about something completely else determines your feelings. If you're thinking about stuff that your inner being has no interest whatsoever, it is not where your inner being is or what your inner being is thinking about, then it's like your thought is a cold one. You haven't landed it anywhere in the field where your inner being is thinking about stuff. And so you land it in a cold place where your inner being isn't, and it feels kind of scary over there because you're thinking in places where your inner being isn't. Isn't that interesting? That's very, very interesting. So every time you think a thought, it's kind of like throwing a dart, trying to land in a zone, in an area where your inner being is interested in what you're thinking about. Well, I'll tell you what your inner being is interested in. Your inner being is interested in the things that you're interested in a way. I mean, when the two of you come together, so it's not like your inner being is only thinking about epic stuff. Your inner being is thinking about joyful stuff, fun stuff, comfortable stuff, interesting stuff, places where the whole experience could be more, could be better, could be more beautiful, could be more satisfying, could be more comfortable, more abundant, more charming, more whimsical, more, whatever. All as I say these words, you can feel the vibrational equivalent of what I'm talking about. There's a vibration that corresponds to the different words that I'm saying. Your inner being is interested. She's vibrational. She's interested in vibration. She wants to experience exhilaration, fun, joy. She is actually also, in my experience, she does have some interest in some of the sad tones too. Just like when you're listening to a beautiful orchestra piece and somebody comes out and starts playing a violin so sweet and sad that it just brings you to your knees, tears rolling down your face, and you would walk away from that orchestra concert, you would walk away from it saying that was the most breathtaking experience of my life. That was ultimately the most uplifting. Oh man, did I get it? And boy, did it just touch my soul. So I'm not saying that we don't like the drama either, because we do like the drama. That's why we keep doing it. That's why we are playing in the manner that we are playing, because we do enjoy the drama. It is a lot of fun for us. We enjoy it. But ultimately, what we should understand here is, in the biggest frame possible, you go all the way out to the biggest frame, and you realize that there is nothing serious going on here. It is all blessed and safe, and life is supposed to be fun. Did you know that? The way we have been playing it, you wouldn't think that. You would think that, because I think right in the moment, some of us are playing out, and actually on a large scale, we seem to be playing out a dark drama. But we enjoy that too. I just want to tell you that I don't enjoy it so much anymore. I don't want to play the dark drama. I want us to understand who we are. And then I want us to get on with the joyful business of having fun on this planet with one another in the manner that we're made to do, that we're made to be here for, to play with one another. We are the joyful, playful otters of the universe. That is what I have heard Abraham say. We are the playful otters of the universe in our human skins, in our HBVs. But we need to understand how to drive our vehicles, who we really are, and who your neighbor is, and who everyone in the field is. We are right at the moment, we're kind of doing this moment like we're actors on a stage. You know, there's a lot of Shakespearean stuff you could bring to this right now as you describe what's playing out. But ultimately, what is happening is you are the whole field, and I am the whole field, and my inner being ultimately is the same inner being as your inner being. And so the sacred formula of the win-win position is really going to it's gonna get us all out of this ditch. The win-win position, and you play the win-win everywhere you go. Don't deal the other person out. Never deal the other person out, and never deal yourself out. Don't deal your enemies out. Don't deal your competitors out. Deal everybody in. Pretend like we are playing a win-win paradigm. Pretend like my inner being is your inner being. And yet, I am the universe using my inner being as the informational fulcrum point of the wholeness that I am. And you are doing the same thing with your inner being from your position. And that's how we mesh together, by the way. My desires are not different from your desires. My desire to raise my family and for all of us to be abundant does not cut out your family's desire for them to be abundant. I want your family to be abundant too. I want your daddy to have a great job, you know? And I want it to be really a great job where your daddy and my daddy, well, you know, I'm dating myself. Actually, my daddy doesn't have a job anymore except for just staying alive. Staying alive, staying positive, and thinking about tomorrow somehow. He is 99 years old and has been approved for an honor flight. And he is perhaps heading for Washington. I'm crossing my fingers because we want to go. We've got our reservations and everything. We're going to Washington to see my dad, you know, get taken around the monuments and an experience of I don't even know, just the very idea of my dad getting out of his situation and into a bigger world, and, you know, pushed around in a wheelchair by all kinds of people. I hope all the government hasn't quit by the time he gets there. I hope that it isn't all just a bunch of Trumpy ass-kissing. Don't go there, girl. Don't go there. Who are we? Who are we? Let's don't talk specifics. Let's go back to the general. Who are we and what is this inner being? Actually, you know what I will do at this moment, because it looks like I am almost to the 20-minute mark. That seems like a lovely... in some universes, I have already passed the 20-minute mark. Let me go to the studio and see whether I am alone. Although it will crush me if I am not, and it will distract me if I am. No, I mean it won't crush the vice versa. Is anybody here? Oh, somebody is here. Oh, hi, my friend. Glad to have you back. I see you missed the first. No, you didn't miss hardly anything. You did not miss hardly anything. 15 minutes. You missed about 5 minutes of the show. I was. It takes me that long to get rocking and rolling. So at some point, I want this show to start morphing into an arena where I can start specifically riffing about current events, and maybe even have like we were talking about yesterday, the first guest that I will have in my show will be my daughter, because she absolutely understands the spirit of the whole thing. She understands the project, and would be able to jump into the space as defined. I was thinking about that this morning. It's probably the most important aspect of the show, the defining of the space. The space of the show is the vector direction of the conversation of the Who Am I show. It, in general, the conclusion is always, no matter what negative perspective or negative aspect we are ever talking about in this show, the ultimate conclusion is always, things are always working out for me/us. So whatever is happening for a reason that all of our collective inner spirits, our inner beings, are trying to guide us to. And one of the things that I think it's trying to guide us to is an understanding of who we are collectively, who we are individually, who we are. The reason that our politics matters is because at the level of our politics, that's who we are as the big being, the collective being that we are. And I find it distressing that the spirit of our collective being, the head of state, and all of the circle of chaos going on around that, it was actually quite breathtaking, the list of felonies and misbehaviors across the board going on with all of that. I find it rather distressing, the spirit at the top of the line, because that is who we are collectively, and I think that it very, very clearly is illustrating that we don't know who we are. And actually, that's what the whole purpose of all things is to help us understand who we are. And from this perspective of understanding ourselves as binary creatures, you are driving an HBV. Your human being vehicle consists of two main data stream perspectives, you could say. Actually, Abraham's going to call them points of attraction. One of them is coming from your source self, that you don't really have any control over that from your smaller perspective, except through the larger field, because what that one is the whole field, and you are in there, You are included in the whole field. And then there is you from your conventional self, from your conventional mind self. And these two minds that you are, M-I-N-D-S, I can't say my D's this morning, minds. These two minds, they are both vibrational. And whenever your smaller one lands on anything that your larger one is interested in, it lights up. It makes you feel, you get a hit inside of your solar plexus that feels good. You get a hit of positive emotion. And when you land on thoughts that your inner being is way not thinking, the difference in the two minds is causing what you call negative emotion. You keep thinking that your negative emotion is being caused by that physical condition out there that you're looking at. Well, it's the way you're looking at it that is causing your emotion to happen the way it's happening. When you identify with your smaller self on the grid, on the board, your specific self, primarily, by the way, when you do identify with that self and you feel more fear from that position, gee, no wonder that position, that you, is made out of meat. Meat, people. Meat spoils, rots. It's delicious to some, you are considered delicious. There's all kinds of reasons why if you identify with yourself from that position more, that you're going to feel more fear. You're going to feel more in your skin, more hyper aware of yourself as that position. It's interesting, the hormones of stress or the adrenaline, cortisol, those kind of things, what they do is they drag your focus from the more sublime, because you really are a spirit. You really do exist in the spirit world. That's who you really are and where you really are. However, you are actually also having this conventional experience, that you're having that too. And both of you together comprise who you are as a human being. And we're really, really special creatures. We're special creatures. We're specially destructive. We're specially cruel. We're specially productive and creative and kind and funny and divine and playful and glorious, whimsical, darling, exceptional. We have so many aspects to ourselves. We are all these things. And actually, the whole point of everything turns out to be an exercise in focus. What are you focusing on? What do you see as the object of the exercise? What is the object of the exercise? Well, I think the object of the exercise is happiness, joy, understanding, comprehension, understanding who you are. I think that our understanding who we are is going to allow us to better use our equipment and get a better result from, how we live our lives. So say you're living your physical experience and something is happening that you don't like. You don't like it, and how you look at it is going to determine whether or not you can get out of it or not. It's sort of like an escape room, and there are secret exits to the dark places that you find yourselves in. It's like a labyrinth, You're in a labyrinth, and you might get caught in a secret, in an escape room that's all scary and dangerous. And how do you get out? How do you get out of that terrible place that you're in? Well, there are secrets to how you do it. You have to understand who you are and how your equipment works. And you have to understand that the whole secret has to do with vibrational frequencies. And if push comes to shove, what you're going to need to do is take your eyes off of what you think is physical, because we've been taught that the physical is primary, and it's not primary, it's secondary. And so it is possible to take your eyes off of the conditional for a minute and feel around for the vibrational position. Feel around for the feeling place. Find the feeling place. And then from that feeling place, now go back and try to re-enter the field of physicality. You'll find that the angle of entry has changed. And now, from this better feeling place, as you enter the field of physicality, now you're not entering from an angle that's causing you to burn up on re-entry or whatever. There's all kinds of analogies. I know there's fuel for analogies here that are really super cool that I will be mining in the days and months and weeks and years, and I said that out of order. That's all right. To come. Who am I? Such a good question. And what is the object of the exercise? Well, as each and every one of us finds our individual way in this modular puzzle we find ourselves in, this cryptogram that we are swimming in, full of clues, and all of them pointing back to our own consciousness and how the template of our own consciousness is set up. You have a template for the whole grid inside of you. You just have to figure out how to blow it big enough so that it contains the whole thing. How do you do that? Well, actually, what do I want to talk about today? Because, current events, everyone is losing their minds. We have a dictator, an authoritarian dictator who is at the helm of our government now. The interesting thing is what he is demonstrating. What he is demonstrating very clearly is that our founding fathers' documents have allowed for basically a king. We have a king. We have a king. We do not anymore have I think maybe perhaps some other countries are doing the spirit of democracy better. I hope that the human beings who comprise the nation of America will remember in their hearts the spirit, the vibrational frequency of democracy, what it actually is, regardless of founding documents or law. At some point, we're going to have to leave the law behind and follow the spirit. Now, if you're wondering what I mean by that, because that could be, some people are like, what do you mean abolish the law? You mean defund the police department? No, you silly Billy. I'm not talking about anything that you would disagree with, actually, if you understood what I meant. My mother, blessed angel she was, she used to talk about, she used to try to explain to me, she was religious in her religion, and she never left her religion. Well, she did for a minute, and then she went back to it. She ultimately never left her religion behind, and she understood a lot of things about it. Christianity in general, she would try to explain to me the difference between the time of the Old Testament and the New Testament, what the spiritual significance was of the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The significance was that the Old Testament was basically telling about the time of the law, the people of the law, and the time of the law. It was all about the law, the laws of and the people followed the law, and God was strict and the laws were strict, and people had to follow the order of the law because they didn't understand the Spirit. And here along comes Jesus, who starts explaining to people about the Spirit, the vibrational essence of the whole thing. And they start following the spirit of it. And that was the whole significance. That was the time of the law. And then he ushered in the time of the Spirit. Well, that's sort of an analogy for something that I think is going to be a moment in time that humanity will hit at some point. I don't know. I can't suss out exactly. Could be any time, I suppose. It all depends how long it takes us to put this whole thing together. But the fact is at some point we're going to have to go vibrational. Go understand the Spirit is the Spirit is the Spirit. And who are we? And who we are is we are the whole field. And we are each other. And we are the whole project. And so I can't really succeed unless you succeed too, because I am not just me, I'm you too. Or at least my inner being is. My inner being wants you to succeed because my inner being is everybody's inner being. However, and now having said that, I don't want you to discount the I am on the other side of that inner being that you are, because while your inner being is being shared by everybody else, the fact that it is anchored in you and it is your inner being and it is you cannot be downplayed. It is you. You are this greater vibrational self. You are the sacred gift. And if you start identifying that way, if we would all start identifying that way, first of all, we'd quit being so mean to one another. We'd quit blaming ourselves and each other for everything and start seeing what's possible and just, let's just pick ourselves up and dust ourselves and each other off. Let's bind up each other's wounds and let's get on with having fun on planet Earth. I'll tell you what human beings want to do. They want to get on with the party. They want to get on with having fun. They want to get on with the patios and the friends and the good food and the good wine and the good whiskey and the beautiful natural landscapes that this world has to offer. They want laughing children to love. They want beautiful landscapes to set their children forth in and to explain to them about the great meaning of this beautiful world and our beautiful selves and our magical, mysterious matrix that we are all cooperatively co-inhabiting. That's what we all want. We want to travel around the world. We want to taste each other's food. We want to stay in magnificent establishments, both hotel and Airbnb, and camping. We want to do it all. We want to kayak and skydive and bungee jump and zip line and go to the movies and go to distilleries, and we want to do all these things. We want to playfully adore one another. We want all of us to have our children have at least the opportunity for a good life. And actually everybody, there is equal opportunity, and I'll tell you where the equal opportunity comes from. You only have the equal opportunity when you understand the equipment that you are inhabiting. When you understand the equipment that you are inhabiting, you understand that from every position on the grid, no matter where you are, whether you are homeless, or whether you are sitting in a mansion, or whether you're sitting in prison, or whether you're in North Korea, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is a piece of information that you need to know. who you are and where happiness lies. Your happiness lies not in any condition that you could point to out there, although there is a lot of conditions that, oh man, I can hardly wait till we can get to the really fun, beautiful, abundant, let's see if we can outdo one another in the amazing conditions that we can produce once we really understand who we are. But the first thing that you understand is, what is happiness? Happiness is you and you flowing in the same direction. Has nothing to do with the conditions around you. Nothing to do with the conditions around you, except for the fact that your inner being knows what the conditions around you are, all the way down to the plonk. Knows where every plonk is positioned at every plonk time, and which direction it's moving, and what temperature it is, and how it's spinning with other plonks, and it knows everything. This material manifestation is rolling, 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 and as it rolls, at every plonk position change, the whole thing winks out, winks back in, and connects with the whole thing. So it's like it. How do I explain how cool this universe is, and how cool you are, and how cool we are? And let's all start focusing on how cool we are and what wonderful things we can do. We are here for the fun. We are here for the joy. And we love one another. We do. It's so funny. I feel such a mix of both of those things. I have spent an awful lot of my life absolutely despising other people. In a way, I mean, I studied the Holocaust and I'm practically a hermit. In a way, I do despise people. But it's what I despise about us is I despise us generally and collectively in all of the places where we don't understand who we are and we're being our disruptive negative selves all over beauty and order around us. And so you're camping in the blessed woods, and you know what, even this one, I'm going to forgive it. I'm going to be able to forgive it. From the larger frame, you can forgive it. I was thinking about, in the days when you're camping in the sacred woods and you're getting in touch with the soul and breath of nature, of your own inner being and the inner being of the planet and the gods of biology and all that kind of stuff. And then along comes a family, shooting their guns and driving their ATVs fast through the woods. Woo-hoo! Killing bears and, whatever. That's an exaggeration. It is an exaggeration. But that still is... It's an expression of a number of things. A quest for freedom themselves is also a big old expression of ignorance, not knowing who they are, not knowing that they are desecrating a field that of nature that they are a part of too. But see, whenever I go into my negative states, now, even though the condition I am observing might indeed be something that we want to change, from my position of being angry or sad or upset or negative in any way about it, puts me right out of the place where I can positively affect it. See the catch-22 that is? The only way that you can change the negative condition into a positive one is from where you are positive. You have to still be in the positive frame, no matter what the condition is. The condition is secondary. And, from a scientific, materialistic perspective, which is what my people have been doing for the last 350 years, because the church was not responsibly exploring the nature of who we are. and the nature of the field around us. They wanted to just exercise their power from a position of everybody agreeing that they were, I don't know. They weren't responsibly doing it. So science said, you know what? We're just going to split from you. We will take care of looking at the material side of things, and you can just keep looking at your spirit if that's what you want to. We are going to look at the planets, and we're going to look at, physics. We're going to explore our material world. But that actually did something very crazy to the psyche of mankind. It split us. It made us schizophrenic. Now we believe that there are these two great fields of separation. The church looking at spirit things, and science looking at physical things, and somehow they don't come together. When in actual fact, they absolutely do come together, and it turns out spirituality is kind of the physics that we didn't understand. The whole thing is one thing. It's one unified field that you are unified with, which means you are the whole thing, and I am the whole thing. And that means the truly sacred position is the calculation you make in your mind as you're going out there trying to build a business or interface with the rest of the world. Whatever it is you do, don't think in terms of how do I get mine and screw everybody else. Always the calculation is the win-win position. There is something very sacred and holy about the win-win position, and it doesn't matter. Resist the other person's trying to make it a win-lose or a lose-win, because that's what we we always try to do that. We either, I'm going to win, and that means you have to lose. Sorry, buddy. Or, I see this whole great thing that is so much greater than myself, and I am nothing compared to this. I will sacrifice myself for the allness, and it doesn't want that either. It does not want that either. If people do that every time they catch a glimpse of allness, no wonder the game is quit looking at allness and pay attention to your specific point on the grid. Forget about the allness and just pay attention to your specific point. Well, how do you do that? You have to care if you're going to do it that way, you have to care how you feel. Because your feelings, your emotions are always an indication of how you are blending your two selves together. Are you blending them well? Are you doing things and thinking thoughts that your inner being is interested in, or are you off in dark, weird corners that your inner being is not? She's with you, but she's looking somewhere else. That's why your thoughts of vengeance, or your fearful thoughts of anger or petty this and that and the other, the reason they feel so bad is because you are in those thoughts all by yourself. All by yourself, buddy. All by yourself. Your inner being is somewhere else, dancing with the wholeness of what is, with a capital I, looking forward to all the possibilities. What can I make of this? What could I make this? How can I make this better, more fun, more beautiful, more joyful, more free, more understood? How can I understand who I am? All of that. That's what's going on. So now I'm going to go over to my studio and see. Oh, good. I still have somebody with me. Yay. Yesterday, I think I had somebody else drop in. Somebody else has dropped in today, but they have dropped back out, perhaps. Nobody else has commented. Let's see what we have going on here. Very important that we live what we believe. People that go out and protest may have good intentions, but like you say, they don't understand how they are negatively fueling the thing that they dislike. Yeah, if you are participating in the negative frequency, even if you imagine that your intention is beneficent, it's not. You're contributing to the chaos, the energy of the chaos, the gods of chaos. You know, you're contributing to the power of the chaotic deity. The same as the idea that as a creator being, if I see someone save a life and decide I'd like to be a nurse, other creator beings have to agree to need the help of a nurse. Yes. Knowing that we all play these characters, how can we judge anyone else on their journey? How can we indeed? But what we do need to do, because we are a superorganism, there is some obligation, I think, but not to the point where you don't take it to a place where it feels bad, this obligation that I just threw out. That word, obligation, feels very heavy, that word. But we do have an obligation to pull our eyes up off of the smaller frame and get a glimpse of the fact that we are indeed larger creatures. Now, one of the problems when we see the system, so where this really applies is in any of our systems organization. Whenever we are putting together our systems of us as a larger being, our systems of communication, transportation, economy, distribution, food production, all of those systems. There's all of the systems that you and I use to keep one another alive. I produce something over here and you produce something over there, and there's a system of circulation as, you know, goods and services and experiences and ideas go up on the collective, and then we exchange them, you know. That's it is what's happening. And as we create systems, if we create them for us as a collective being with more egalitarianism in mind, like really good, many strata levels of experience, from entry level joyful entertainment to, you know, full on first class party situations, you know, with the billion-dollar yachts and the Caribbean islands or whatever, and have some sort of system of circulation so human beings can figure out how to have the experience that they want. Well, guess what? We already have a system like that. But what it is you have to figure out how to line up with your inner being who knows full well what you, specifically you, want, and how it would be specifically tailored to the exact experience you've been having on planet Earth, your relationship with the exact elements and configuration of the exact rolling manifestation as it exists in this exact moment. It's just so cool. How do you do that? How do you get exactly what you want? Line your two selves up and then see what happens. Never settle for less than that. How can you tell if you're lined up? You are at least satisfied. You are at least content. Keep reaching for satisfaction. Keep reaching for contentment. And then, you know, you can reach farther than that afterwards, but, you know, contentment and satisfaction is the ground state of being. And if you start getting used to being there, then you start recognizing yourself. Then you're like, oh damn, I am this person. It's like me as, I don't know. I was going to say some words. I don't want to say words that make it sound like I'm more demagoguery than I imagine that I am, or more presumptuous. I don't want to be a whippersnapper, an upstart in all of this, but all of us are this grand. We have inside of us an amazing landscape. And then collectively outside, we share a field that we could get along with one another. We really could. You think that that peace on earth, goodwill towards men is just pie in the sky. We've never, in the past, we don't have any record of this, do we? Well, we have some periodic levels of it, like there have been times of peace for different peoples, Native Americans and indigenous peoples and Hawaiians. And, there have been spaces of time, hundreds of years go by where things are relatively okay. I think it could be longer if we more deeply understood who we were, what consciousness is, what a deep privilege it is to be in possession of a human consciousness, and what we can do with it, both individually and collectively. And it doesn't have to be grand. I don't live a grand life. There's something really huge in the really small. I think that deep truth comes from the fact that an infinite amount of information can be stored on an infinitely small point. So from where you are in your little life on down, sort of like the Horton, here's a who principle, the universe that gets the enormity of the universe that goes from the small on down, as well as the one that goes from the big on out, or the small on out to the big. It's kind of like that. You don't have to, that grandmother who lives her little life loving her family, her grandchildren, her kitchen, her orchard, her whatever, and lives her whole life doing and being that, she is blessed, and that is beautiful, and there's not one single thing wrong with that. As I speak of these big, big, big things, who we are as this big self, I don't mean to discount the small self that we all are. We are huge in our smallness and small in our hugeness. We are holographic people, and we are each other. And so we really can't play anymore the game of, screw you, I've got mine. Because we are all in this together. We are co-creating a blessed and magnificent field of physicality around us. And our better, clearer understanding of this. Now, I've spoken mostly today from the psychological, spiritual / point of attraction kind of law of attraction sort of perspective. But this all of this relates. The holographic nature, the Planck field, the matrix, the wormhole, connected universe, all matrix together, that is why you have an inner being. Because all of the information of all of the rolling physicality of the universe, because virtual particles are popping in, particles are popping out, things are changing position, there's a particular energy in the field that is constant, and the reason it's constant is because it is being caused by all the Plancks all across the universe touching each other and exchanging their data and information across all the scales. That's why the whole thing is holographic, and in the Planck field of a single proton is encoded the information of the present the right now physicality, the state, shape, form, position, temperature, all of that, of the whole physical, of all the physicality, is represented in the Planck field of every proton, of every atom, of every physical bit of matter in all the universe. And the interesting thing is, so it's a slightly different bit of information where I am than where you are, because I'm getting the information from my position on the grid and you're getting it from your position on the grid, and they aren't interchangeable. Mine is a unique perspective and blessed as equally as yours. And the whole thing added together is what our inner being knows. And I think I am coming up on an hour. Actually, the live stream has an hour. The recording has about 20 more seconds for an hour. So I think I'm going to close up shop for the day. I will take one more quick peek over at the chat room, see whether there's anything I should respond to or react to. We all play. Yes, so I love you, Indigo. It has been wonderful to have you with me this morning. And I promise you, there will be others in the room at some point. Why is this? Oh no, that is streaming. Okay, I'm getting confused. Until tomorrow, when I will come back and do it again. I actually do it for myself. On the days when I do not do the show, I recognize why I do this show. It's because this act of identification with the other side of myself for an hour a day really, really does help screw my head on straight. Helps me put my priorities into perspective. And so until tomorrow, when I hope you can join me again, if I end up in the studio, I don't always. I hope you join me on a patio with a fire and a beautiful nature scene somewhere, and we will discuss more. Who am I? And how does this better understanding of who I am and who we are, how is it going to help us all solve every single problem that humanity thinks that they have with one another, to lead us all to a place ultimately of peace on earth, goodwill towards all mankind, because mankind it's us, people. Can't get away from it. And so until tomorrow, or such time, as always, may the source be with you. See you next time.